UAW local members at the Flint assembly plant for General Motors have voted against the agreement, the tentative agreement that UAW made with GM to end the labor strike. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Today is Friday, November 10th. The date's important because things are changing really quickly. And not only does the GM Flint assembly plant vote against it, we have some new strike information for you on different voting going on, and also an update on Toyota and Honda that are also raising their employee pay based on the results of the strike. Yes, as I told you in the first story I did on the strike, the consequences and the impact is not going to be just the Detroit Three. It's going to be felt throughout the economy, and we're seeing that happen. So that's first of all, let's get the story. It's on pickuptrucktalk.com, just got published. It's right over here. GM Flint UAW narrowly votes against new contract. And this was the UAW Local 598. And they put the letter that shows the voting results on a Facebook post. This is how the UAW local has been, all the different UAW locals I've been reporting on have been reporting the results to the memberships through Facebook. And so as you can see from the Facebook post that 47% of production workers voted for it, 52.8% voted against it, and skilled trades was 64.8% versus 35.1%. Now, when you put that together, they have 4,700 members or employees at the plant. A lot of them are production, not so many of them are skilled. The voting for the production outweighs the skilled voting. And so your grand total is 48.2% for and 51.8% against. Now, that doesn't mean the contract is not going to be agreed on the rest of the plants. It means this one plant voted against it. Other GM plants and UAW locals are still voting for it. That plant builds the Chevy Silverado heavy duty, a GMC Denali heavy duty, and the Sierra heavy duty, both in crew cab and regular cab. I've actually been to the plant. I used to live, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes away from that plant. And I know I have friends of friends who work at that plant. So I'm pretty familiar with that plant. Now, I was curious on why would they vote against it? This is the record contract, the historic agreement that UAW President Sean Fain has said. And there's a couple of Facebook comments that kind of stood out to me. One specifically states, it's not the money, it's the mandatory overtime, COLA not being immediate for all hourly employees, including temps. It's a lack of an immediate end to tiers, and it's the 401 contributions not being on all payable hours. It's a Doc 8 still in control. I'm not quite sure what that is. And too many issues still resolved. Another commenter added, we've been doing mandatory overtime for 8 to 10 years now. And so I could see that being an issue. Mandatory overtime, you want to get off on Friday at 5 o'clock, and now you got to work till 8 or 9, whatever is going to happen. And so looking at other voting updates, not just that plant, there has been several updates. So first of all, the UAW members for Ford Chicago assembly plant voted 57% in favor of the new contract, according to Reuters. A few days before that, the Michigan assembly plant, remember, this is the first plant to go on strike for Ford. They voted overwhelmingly in favor with 82% of the vote for the agreement. On November 9th, the UAW Local 1268, the one representing the Belvedere, Illinois plant, voted overwhelmingly in favor of it, 81% of production employees and 86% of skilled trade employees, which totally makes sense because that plant is currently closed. And the agreement with Stellantis is the plant reopens and they build a new midsize Ram truck there, and also looking at doing a battery plant there. Other UAWs are heading to polls with voting ongoing. I heard a date, November 17th was the end of voting. I haven't been able to confirm that, but that's what I've heard. So it's November 10th. So in a week, hopefully all this voting is wrapped up. Now, I also talked about Toyota and Honda. So other automakers have been affected. So Toyota told its employees through an internal memo, it'll raise wages by 9% effective January 1st, 2024 for hourly manufacturer workers. Other workers will see a raise. There's no clarification what that was. This comes from an internal document that was sourced from, I believe it's Reuters as well. Also said it's cutting the amount of time needed for the U.S. production workers to reach top pay to 4 years and down from 8 years. So you get hired in this lower wage, you work your way up, and with Toyota, it takes you 8 years to get the full pay. Now they're cutting that back down to 4. Honda also said it's increasing its hourly workers by 11% effective on January 8th, 2024. And I didn't get any more details on whether it's doing anything with the tiers or pay. I didn't see that. And then I have my quote from Yogi Berra, the famous New York Yankees catcher, it ain't over until it's over. So we're going to wait and see what's going to happen. I did want to point out something over here. So this, if you can go to uaw.org like I have, or go to the Facebook. I've been covering this quite extensively because I think it's really important to consumers and really important to fans of this channel to know what's going on. We've talked about Ford has said in a call with investors that the UAW agreement is going to raise pricing by $500 to $900. And we've heard that from them, but we're also looking at what the employees are going to make. So if employees make more money, they can afford the trucks they're building. It seems like a win-win for them. But for consumers who are not part of the auto industry, you're going to pay a little bit more for the new vehicles. It just seems like that's going to happen. And so what I was curious about was there's a bunch of these hourly books, and I'm not a UAW guy. I don't understand all the language. I have never worked at a plant, but I wanted to point out the hourly highlighter for the hourly workers, and because I think it's really interesting because they have highlights, and so this is interesting stuff to me, and well, I think it's for you too. First of all, the highlights, we're going to start from the left-hand side. 10% 401k employee contribution, 1,500 voucher towards a vehicle purchase, the COLA reinstated, which is cost cost of living adjustment, which was back from 2007, I believe is what they said, 2007, something like that. There's a battery work under master agreement. There's a attendance policy upgrade, the wage increases, which you've seen. There's huge wage increases for certain plants. Temporary workers get a big improvement in wages. Wage tiers eliminated, tuition assistance to $8,000. Grow in reduced to three years. So that's the grow in to get the full pay, I believe. No more tiered vacation time, secured vacation time. All full-time temps with 90 days converted to in progression. So that means instead of working as a temporary worker for months and months, you have 90 days. You're going to be part of the. You're going to be transitioned from temporary to hourly. All to enhance relocation package, skilled trades, get a tool allowance, production investment, healthcare enhancements. We have a $5,000 ratification bonus, profit sharing maintained, expanded to temporaries, so temporaries can profit sharing. An EV work agreement. This was a critical one for a lot of the conversation, is that EVs require less workers to build them. They have less parts, and the union was concerned about new plants opening up to build EVs without having union membership. That makes sense to me. I can see that. Journey for persons cannot be forced to production. I'm not sure, all that kind of stuff. The right to strike over plant closures, outsourcing, and investment. This was another major one too. Whereas the UAW now, and this agreement also impacts Ford and Stellantis. I think the highlights are about the same. But anyways, the UAW now can strike over a plant closure. They can strike over investment plans. I mean, they can really individually strike against decisions made by the higher ups at General Motors. Additional holiday added was June 10th. Subpay, paid parental leave, retirement improvements for all, improvements to industrial hygiene ergonomics, considerations for married couples transferring. Remember, the last 2 years. So a lot of stuff you can see that going on, and the battery EV plant agreements. Again, that was another critical point to that. So that is the details on the new news we have today on the GM Flint plant. So I'll be curious to see what happens as we get more voting. There is some contentious voting going on. I say contentious. The media made it sound like contentious at the Ford Kentucky plant. Apparently, that plant has voted against different agreements in the years past, and so there's some curiosity in what's going to happen to that plant. And again, that's a huge plant for Ford. I'll be curious what this number goes and whether we get the full agreement. I mean, they have to have more 50% agreement, and I'll be curious to see what happens with that as moving forward. And as always, I'm going to keep you in the loop on what I know and report on the news that comes out, because I think it's very important to consumers. I think it's very important to people on this channel. So hey, make sure you hit subscribe. Stick around. Join the other 100,000 people that hit that button. That was really cool. Thanks for hitting me the 100,000 mark. If you know, early on this last week, got to that mark. So anyways, check more videos over here. Website again, pickuptrucktalk.com. I write it there first. I come over to do video, so I'm getting news out to you guys in multiple ways to make sure you are informed and informed consumers. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.